Hey guys, Jason, following up on what I started yesterday, pushing to get this thing done. Did quite a bit yesterday. As you can see, the building is missing where I normally have the sheetrock facility. Taking that out to work on it. In doing so, I went and repainted my backdrop. There was a lot of scuff marks and spill marks and splash marks and things on it, so I've redone that. Took a while to do that. Here's the back portion of the factory that I'm working on. Had to do some work on that. I had to put the side panel on here because that wasn't there. I had to do the same thing here. Went and resprayed this, touched it up a little bit, and I'm doing some work on the rest of the facility as well, so I'll show you that here in a moment. Alright, so here's the building, the proper part of the building, the main part of the building. You can see I've put the roof on it yesterday. That was a big deal. Because of the way this was made, it was made out of a Walters kit, and instead of building it as a square, I kicked the side out, so it's all hollow in the back. There's nothing there, so I had to do a bunch of work to reinforce that. So I want to kind of turn this around and show you guys what I did. So I've got it laying on its side here, and you can see I've used this square channel to build basically posts and support structures up under the roof. I used some extra pieces of scrap styrene just to make it more rigid. I used the gray roof, the gray styrene that came with the building, but then I laid full sheets of white styrene over the top to give it a more uniform look. I didn't want a whole bunch of individual panels sagging and dipping at different spots. So turn this over here, and you can see that as it sits right now, the whole roof is really only made out of 2 sheets. This sheet actually fit perfectly right from the store. I didn't have to do anything to it. And this piece, which is cut kind of in an L here, I had to cut out. So I took just some construction paper and laid it on here and got it to fit just right, and then I used the construction paper as a template for this section of the roof. So right now I'm working on decorating or detailing the roof. Alright, you can see I'm getting close to being done with this whole roof, a little over halfway anyway. So I'm gonna just show you real quick how this is happening. Lay these out pretty much parallel to the edge. Take a sharp X-Acto knife, score that one there. Another one here, score that one there, flip them over, and go through and cut the rest of these up, and then I'll be ready to start laying them. And now that I've got them all cut up, I'm going to peel them off of here with the razor blade. Set this aside, I'll show you. So basically I've measured out a line across here. I'm going to just overlap these and follow that line. That line just helps me from getting really crooked, because if you don't use it, by the time you get to the back edge, it won't even be close to straight. You can see I've made a bit of progress. I finished all the tape, and I went back and mixed up just some of this real cheap dollar store acrylic paint. I mixed up a little bit of the black, and I actually added a little bit of white. I'd say it was probably about 70-30, mostly black, maybe 80-20. I mixed it up in one of these little cups. These are little cups that come with the liquid detergent. I keep a whole bunch of these around. We do a lot of laundry, so we always seem to have these. So I mixed a little bit of that up in here. Often I'll just use the black, but because I have another building that's done with the same type of roof that's just black, I added the white to give it a little bit more, just to make it distinctive. So once that was done, I went through and I painted everything over with just a small brush. It doesn't cover fully the first time through, so you always have to go through and redo it. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, because really on the second coat you really have to go through and kind of do each square one at a time to make sure that all the brush strokes are consistent with the grain of the tape. And the reason I use the tape is to get that texture. So if you put the paint on wrong, it messes up the whole thing. So another thing I did is I mixed I didn't mix the paints consistently when I mixed them, and I think it took 3 different mixes to paint this whole thing, and that's good because it gives it some variation in color. And anytime you have a roof this big, you're gonna have patches and areas where it's been retard or resealed or whatever. So it works for me. It gives it a little bit of extra realism. Once that was done, then I'm going back through, in the process I'm working on now is I'm using this, what is it called? It's a Marvy Memory Series ink, acid-free, non-toxic pen. I'm using the fine tip. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm going over every seam, which is extremely tedious. And you kind of use the ridge of the tape to hold the tip in place. It takes a long time to do this, and it looks really, it doesn't look right when you first do it. It looks like it's way too shiny compared to the flat paint itself, but it actually fades as it dries. And I'm going to go back over this and put some chalk on it anyway, which in the end is really going to make this this pop out. Alright, so that finishes the roof for the most part. You can see the lines are all painted on there. A couple of variations in color. You can see some of the more gray marks, like right in here. All the inking is done on the seams. That area over there you can see is a little bit more gray than some of the other areas. That's another batch of paint. So from here it'll go into chalking and then gluing on the roof details. However, I don't have the roof details yet. I ordered them a couple of days ago, so I'm waiting for them to come in. The only ones I do have right now are these larger ones. I believe these were a Waller's Cornerstone. The problem is they're actually the right scale. They're HO, which is cool. However, I kind of feel like they look just too big, so I'm going to move the camera back here as best I can. And if I set a few of these up here, they really make the roof, I think, look small. So I'm going to use a little bit of forced perspective and order a set of these in N scale, and I think that'll make the roof look a lot bigger. I mean, it's supposed to be a factory, so it should be fairly expansive, so that's the plan. Okay, you can see I got the roof finished at this point. It's all marked up and chalked up. I got my details in. I used N scale details on the roof to give it a little bit bigger appearance. I had some HO scale stuff up there, but it looked kind of large and didn't give it a sense of depth or scale. So I think the N scale gives it a little bit of forced perspective. Pretty happy with the way it came out. Got my doors down here, put a little bit of chalk on those as well. Painted those up, put some tape on them, so I'm pretty satisfied with those as well. So that completes the roof. Put a few signs on there as well. I got a sign up there. There's another sign over the door right there. You can see I've had a few other projects to work on, like that Georgia Pacific car, which we'll cover later, and got some more stuff in from Walters over here. You can see I got some lumber loads and whatnot. But let's keep this about the roof. So the roof's done, with the exception of maybe a couple more details. So anyway, leave me some comments, questions. Always eager to hear what you have to say. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.